So how does a $48 million courthouse in Tallahassee, Florida get built while the rest of the state faces budget cuts? Simple: corruption. My next guest is making it her mission to see this sort of spending stop. Florida CFO candidate Loranne Ausley joins me now from the Sunshine State. Also weighing in from D.C. is no stranger to this type of corruption, the whistleblower Marie Briganti, whose true life story was portrayed in the movie by Sissy Spacek. So let me start with you. Who wants to start? I have corruption in Florida, and I have corruption everywhere else. This is like a tax burden to everyone. My CFO from Florida, if you break a corruption ring, isn't that like giving the taxpayer back some money?
Well, Eric, it is, and I tell you that you won't go believe this. It's a $48 million building. It is a palace. When we have cuts across the board, we're cutting people, we're cutting everything you can imagine. We have somehow, this legislature approved a $48 million building complete with a big dome over the top, granite countertops, and 60-inch flat screen TVs for each judge. It's out of control, and I'm not against the building, but against the opulence of this building, particularly when we're all tightening our belts. The second thing that's wrong with this is the way it happened. Just like so many things in Tallahassee and in Washington, in the middle of the night, tacked on to a transportation bill was a $33.9 billion bond issue. This is what people in Florida are mad about. It's why I'm running for CFO, to clean up this mess and to hold legislators accountable for what they're spending.
That happens on every level of government, federal government, state governments, where they'll tack on some spending onto some unrelated bill, right?
Right. This was a 150-page bill. 63 sections of 64 were about transportation. The 64th section was about this bond deal that even the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court didn't know about.
All right, Marie, I'm going to send it down. Let me send it down to Marie. You're no stranger to this. You were a whistleblower. Tell us your story.
Well, I was appointed chairman of the Tennessee Board of Pardons and Paroles during a time of rampant corruption in Tennessee that extended directly to the governor's office, as it turned out. And because I was appointed by him, I think he expected me to rubber stamp their activities. And, you know, I think one of the things that's happened through the years, and we see it more and more frequently, is that people forget that they're supposed to be public servants. Public officials forget that they are there to serve the people. And I think that the concept of public service has turned into more like self-service all too often. And the example of what you're talking about in Florida sort of shows that there's a certain amount of greed there. There's a certain amount
There's greed everywhere,
seeking.
Marie. It turns out, we started this corruption thing. Turns out there's corruption and greed everywhere. Michael, go ahead, Mike.
Well, it does seem to me that there is this culture now that the government can afford everything. And so more and more we have people who just expect that the government will take care of all problems, give them money, bail them out, companies, homeowners. And I think that we've kind of crossed the Rubicon now in that the government has deep pockets, and so it's okay to take.
Worse than
that's what's bankrupting the country.
Worse than the federal big spenders or the state big spenders. Take the governors. This nation has a horrible group of governors in both parties. I mean, look at a guy like Charlie Crist. He could have stripped that out of the bill. He could have stood up in Florida and said, I don't have to sign this. Let's get this out of there. But no, he leaves it in because he wants to buy off those people in that region. He figures, well, I'll get the support of 5 state house members, of 7 state senators. This is great.
Lorraine, what about it? Any word from the, did you contact the governor's office?
Yeah, there's any number of examples. This is just one. We have a $110 million private prison that was not asked for, not needed, that's been built, lining someone's pockets. At the bottom of all of this, you've got a legislature that's out of control and out of touch with real people. We're tightening our belts. We are counting every dime so that we can make ends meet. And the Florida legislature has not been doing that. My opponent, Jeff Atwater, has been the president of the Florida Senate and presiding over these shenanigans. He's allowed it to happen, and it's got to stop.
Marie, I want to go back to that picture, guys. If you can put that picture of Marie up. Marie, we're showing a picture of you and Mr. Fred Thompson. Tell us a little bit about that story behind that picture.
Well, because I tried to put a stop to the corruption in Tennessee, I initiated a federal investigation that resulted in the governor firing me when he realized that I was responsible for the investigation of his administration. And so I decided to file a lawsuit not for revenge, but because I think that so many people that had known what was going on chose to look the other way because they felt that one person couldn't make a difference. And I really believed that a public official who tries to do the right thing would be supported by our system of government.
Right.
And I went to Fred and I asked him to represent me in a lawsuit against the governor, and we won.
And he did. All right, we're going to have to leave it
Happy
there.
ending.
By the way, congratulations. Good for you for standing up. We're going to say thank you to Loranne Ausley and Maria Riganti. Coming up, some twisted stories that just make you ask, what? There's